Hey guys, I'm in New York City on my way to an interview with Chantel, the founder of Chloe and Isabel, and I'm picking up a little brunch for us on the way. I'm here at Donut Plant. Let's go inside and see what's going on. Chantel Waterbury, who is the founder of Chloe and Isabel.
Hi.
Hello. And we are here in our beautiful office with the most amazing view. I don't know if it gets better than this. We're in the financial district in New York City. I just want to say thank you.
Thank you. No, it's my pleasure.
And we also have some breakfast because I love to do interviews over brunch. So we have some donuts here, which, sorry.
Wait to try.
I know, so sorry I can't give them to you at home, but we will let you know if they're delicious. I'm sure they're going to be. But one of the things I always like to do for everyone who's watching is just to start off by explaining what the brand is that we're talking about. So can you tell us a little bit about Chloe and Isabel?
Absolutely. So Chloe and Isabel is a fashion jewelry brand. We call it products that are driven by a story, which I can elaborate on in a little bit. I think more importantly, we are pioneering social retail, and we're empowering women entrepreneurs through running their own businesses that are Chloe and Isabel, whether it's through our proprietary platform, our training, our support. So it's really this sort of fashion meets entrepreneurship that makes Chloe and Isabel so special. But I think one of my favorite things when I think about the brand itself, so Chloe and Isabel, is how much people identify with these personas of Chloe and Isabel. Because I usually get asked, well, who are Chloe and Isabel?
Yeah.
And they think I have children named Chloe and Isabel. I don't. I've been in Siena. Neither one of them are Chloe and Isabel. But when we say that we're products with a story, it kind of comes from two different places. And one is this concept of, are you a Chloe or an Isabel?
Oh, okay.
So it's meant to be everyone out there. Are you a Chloe or are you an Isabel? And Chloe is the trendier, more fearless with her fashion, and Isabel is classic and timeless. Oh. So people tend to shop thinking about themselves in that way.
Okay, Chloe or Isabel.
Exactly. So that's kind of where the brand and the name from a product direction is. And of course, we love being able to talk about the inspiration of every single collection because they are driven typically by places. We love taking people on a journey. So whether it's a holiday in Paris or the Amalfi Coast. We love taking people on a journey. I feel like that's the only way I've traveled the past 5 to 7 years is through our jewelry.
It seems like a pretty good way to travel.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be upset about that. Can you talk about how the idea was born and the way that you built Chloe and Isabel? How did it get started?
So the idea that I would have my own jewelry brand was one that was always there. I knew that I wanted to have my own business. I knew I loved jewelry. When I was 21 years old and placed in my first jewelry department, within 6 months I went to my boss and I said, how can I stay in jewelry for the rest of my life? It was love truly at first sight.
That was your first job?
My first job was placed as an assistant buyer in jewelry. And at first I was like, oh wow, I'm in jewelry. And it's funny because I have a long passion with jewelry and playing with my grandmother's jewelry. She moved over from France and she had this huge jewelry box filled with costume jewelry, and it was my favorite thing to do as a child was play with her vintage Nina Ricci and Coco Chanel. But I didn't realize until I was in the corporate world how much I loved it. And so I thought, well, maybe I'll get enough experience where I can have my own jewelry company one day. And then I reached a point in my life where it wasn't just about fashion. That wasn't going to inspire me as much as it once upon a time did. Yeah. And I found that I wanted to take this skill set that I'd spent about 15 years in corporate retail sort of growing and honing and said, how can I actually make a difference in other people's lives and build a brand that empowers people in a slightly different way rather than saying, oh, it's, I love my piece of jewelry, I feel pretty in it, I needed more than that. And so that's where I started to think, let me take this skill set and actually find a way to pay it forward in empowering others to do something. And of course, it's funny because people go back in time and And they're like, oh, you sold knives when you were 17. And at the time, I had no idea. You know, when you're doing something, it's a means to an end.
Okay, so what was the selling knives?
Okay, I'm like, people always bring this up. You're like, okay, selling knives. It is like the story that people love talking about. I always forget about this. I'm like, oh, right. So I've been in fashion for 15 years, but when I was 17, and this, like, I'll give you the quick version of this, I needed to make a lot of money very quickly to help pay for private university.
Okay.
That's a much, bigger story than the time for it right now. But I needed to make money, and I found this opportunity where I was able to sell these knives, these kitchen cutlery. I know, it sounds crazy.
It's what every little girl dreams of doing.
Exactly. I was like, how am I in this situation? Why am I selling knives? No, and I ended up selling $30,000 worth of knives. And like,
you were good.
Yeah, in like 3 months. There was a need. There was a need. This was driven by a need. I was like, I love this. And so it actually occurred to me when I was making jewelry for other people, I had this moment where I realized that there was a real need. It was around the time when the economy was actually in a really tough spot and unemployment rate was hovering at historical highs, but particularly for college kids. And that's when I had that moment where I thought, wow, we need to actually have an opportunity that can help those people the same way that I did over 20 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. It came back around.
It came back around. And that's why I bring it up is people are like, how did this model ever come together? And it's truly a result of my entire life. And that's why sometimes it's such a long story. It's not this easy, like, I had this idea one day. I spent over 15 years in corporate fashion and retail, sort of climbing the corporate ladder. And then I found this point where, okay, I can either be a chief merchant and take my dream job, or I can actually try and build something that can help people the way that I once upon a time needed. And I was really excited to be able to pay it forward and say, all right, I'm going to actually give people this opportunity the same way I needed it upon time in my life.
What were the very first things you did to then go from idea into full execution mode?
So the first thing I did was make sure that I could clearly articulate that vision. What were the problems that I was trying to solve? How did I see that we could actually make a real difference in pioneering not just a new business model, but I think the jewelry is one thing, but that wasn't the reason why somebody was going to actually invest in Chloe Isabel and believe in Chloe Isabel. Right. So I had to have, I think, I had to be able to clearly articulate that vision. And that was really, at this point, it was just an idea. I didn't have any jewelry design. I didn't have any business. I was working full-time, practically. So I had to convince somebody to believe as well.
In this vision, of the story that you were building.
Exactly. And so I found some incredible investment partners that believed. And they gave us our first, what they call a term sheet, as our first investment to launch Chloe Isabel. And it wasn't until then that I could actually spend full time and start building it. So I think whereas a lot of people will go out and raise money with a product already going, I had to then turn around and start building it once I got it, because I needed the money to do it.
You raised with an idea. You're good.
You're
good.
You know what? Ignorance is bliss. I didn't know that wasn't normal at the time. Thank God. I was like, doesn't everybody do this? Like, I thought that's what you do. You pitch an idea. They're like, no, you pitch businesses. I honestly, I didn't know. I didn't know any better.
Did the branding come before the jewelry designs?
Yes.
Okay.
First thing I did.
So you really built the concept.
Yes. Yeah. I needed, because everything has to fold into it. If you don't have that overarching vision, like, what is this brand? I mean, even just thinking about, obviously it started with the names Chloe Isabel, but then I don't know if people realize this, it was even the fact that I wanted each font to be a little bit different because it represented their own personal handwriting. So it's meant to be Chloe and Isabel signing. And then it came down to, should it be birds? The idea that Isabel is a bluebird and Chloe is a yellow bird. All these things play into the entire story, which envelop the entire brand. That's why we call this the nest. We say birds of a feather flock together. We're helping people soar to new heights. Everything plays off of that branding and how you feel like you're a part of that community. I'm amazed at how much people have understood and embraced what those birds even mean to us.
Well, I think that's the power of branding really well, when you're building a story more than just a product that people can believe in and feel part of.
Exactly.
And I love to hear that all came before product ever evolved.
Before
and so,
a single piece of jewelry was designed.
Because I'm
making those birds.
I'm going to guess then that when it came down to figuring out what the designs for the jewelry were going to be, they were born out of the brand, out of the story of what would Chloe wear, what would Isabel wear, and it was less trying to back into it, and there was a path.
Exactly.
So I want to talk a little bit more too about how the jewelry is sold, and maybe even just explain a little bit about this idea of social commerce and how women are being empowered to start their own businesses through Chloe and Isabel. Can you talk a little bit about how that works?
Absolutely. So we have an enormous community of incredible female entrepreneurs. We call them merchandisers. There are different levels that we have. One of the most important things for me is that the title that they have in this role should be reflective of what they're actually doing and should be transferable on an actual resume because of the amount of training that they do in fact receive here at Chloe Isabel, but also the tasks that go into running your own business. So I come from retail. That's my background. I think of this as, rather than selling through all of my stores, whether at any of the department stores or companies that I've worked for in my past, how can I actually take this lifestyle brand and say, I'm going to sell this exclusively through small business owners? That was sort of the approach that I took. But it was important to me that it was still this beloved brand and that they were given all of the training that they needed to be a storefront for Chloe Isabel. So how can we make sure that they received the products, the fixturing, the planograms, the stories, absolutely everything that they could be so proud to run this business and say, I'm a Chloe Isabel storefront. Like, come to me and I will give you the experience that becomes pretty consistent. Each entrepreneur runs their business in their own unique way, which is what I love. I mean, it's totally unique, but every single person has the same foundation that's able to allow them to be successful and even consistent as a brand to be able to speak to the products, to speak to the stories, and have the same tools. So it's allowed them to do what we call social retail, because she's truly leveraging not just her social networks, but social tools. So we've built a platform that leverages the best way that you can incorporate or tie your business into Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, Instagram. I mean, there's different tools that we give them so that it could be a press of a button, and it allows them to do social marketing.
Done early from the beginning that have led to the success of Chloe and Isabel and where you guys are today, having a strong vision, incredible branding. But beyond that, are there any things that stick out to you that, some of those things you've done have been made the company successful?
Well, I think number one is it's the people that you surround yourself with. This is not about me. I could have never done this on my own. It's a combination of the team that you build around you and making sure that they care about what you're building, that they care about the merchandiser. So having somebody totally aligned to your vision that can make those decisions, the right decisions for your community on a daily basis was everything. And then of course, you have to make sure that you also have the business partners that are helping support the business grow as well. And I think that combination of those two things were critical to our success.
Is there anything that you would offer as some of your best advice for someone who's getting started on their entrepreneurial journey, from idea to
oh my gosh,
launch?
So many things. But if I had to say one thing, which is never easy for me, it would be to not be afraid to ask for help. I think that women in particular, we're afraid sometimes to ask for help. We think we should have all the answers, or we think that asking for help is a sign of weakness, and it isn't. It's so many times that has been the one thing that has saved me was asking for help, whether it was just advice, needing access to a type of person that could help me. It takes a village, and it's not just going to be the people that are working inside your company, but it's going to be through mentors, through the most unexpected places. And if you're not willing to ask for help, you could end up not getting anywhere at all.
I mean, the one thing that I think is, to me, the one thing that all people who achieve their dreams has in common, I mean, if you were to take one thing across all of them, it's the fact that they didn't give up, right? I mean, what I see entrepreneurs so often do is reach a point where they give up.
Yeah.
It's hard to pick yourself up every time you fall, and the reality is you are picking yourself up time and time and time again. And so also just, if you really love what you're doing and you believe in it, it's not like don't give up no matter what.
Right.
But if like this is what you love to do, and if you have a vision that you feel very strongly about, you have to just trust in yourself and not give up.
I think
Like
that's.
I couldn't do only one.
Don't give, no, but two's good.
Oh,
I like two.
I do too.
No, I think that's true. There's and so many people I meet, it's just I got successful because I just never stopped trying.
It's so true. That's the
secret.
story that I hear from everyone.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm asking that question to people,
Right.
and they're like, it's because I just kept picking myself up.
Just kept going.
I'm like, all right, get across that finish line.
Is there? I'm sure there is, but a vision for where Chloe Isabel will go in the next few years, where you want to take it?
Yes. I mean, this was day one. I've always seen the future of Chloe Isabel since before it even started, and that was creating not just a global brand. I mean, I think that obviously category expansion and global expansion, I mean, those are all exciting things for a brand, but for me, it's about having this opportunity available around the world. It's needed by women everywhere, and the idea that we can actually empower women in countries that you couldn't even imagine you'd be able to go and make a difference in their lives, that's what excites me more than anything else.
I love how purpose-driven you are in helping women. That's just it's such a good story, and I think it makes me love the brand even more, and I hope it makes people who watch love the brand even more.
No, it's a different kind of inspiration to wake up to every day.
Yeah.
I mean, every day I wake up, and it's not because I need to go and design another piece of pretty jewelry. It's because I need to help change someone's life today. And it's an incredible feeling knowing that what you're doing matters.
Yeah. Oh, I love it so much. Well, I think that will bring me to my last question. So today you're our toast of the town, which is someone that I say, I admire and what you're doing. And so I want to ask you, is there someone in your life who you see as your toast of the town, who you admire and look up to?
Again, a hard one because there are so many. I'll break this out into sort of two things. One is definitely on a daily basis, it is our merchandiser. I mean, she is out there running her business in ways that completely blow my mind. I have so much admiration for how she's running her business. And I think that the most important thing that I've found, because people will ask me this question periodically, is it's not about what you've accomplished. To me, it's not about success. It's how you get there. And when you don't compromise integrity, when you don't try and push yourself ahead of a pack, but you actually lift people up and bring them with you, that's what I respect. And when I see a merchandiser or a leader that has experienced tremendous success, and she goes out to the community to share what she's done, because she doesn't want to say, look at me, I'm doing so great, but she says, you can do this too, and here's how, that's a person that I admire. Like, she's trying to lift everyone up around her, and that's what we celebrate every day here at Chloe Isabel. And I see it every single day. Like, they're truly the most inspiring group of women that I've ever been around.